If you're planning to get the SRRV in the Philippines, then you better watch this video because in the next 2 weeks, there will be some changes in terms of the upfront costs, the deposit, and the requirements. So, as per the PRA, they will implement these changes by September 1. So, if you're in the process, you better hurry up. Or if you are planning to get the SRRV after September 1, then you better watch this video because I'm going to talk about the rules and requirements before it changes and after it changes. So this is Kevin, your visa guy here in the Philippines, and we're going to talk about the SRV changes today. So stick around, grab a cup of coffee, let's get down to business. Now, what is the SRV? In simple terms, the SRV is a retirement visa of the Philippines. It grants foreign nationals independent permanent stay in the country. Compared to other visas like the 13A spousal visa, it is also a permanent visa, but it is tied up to the marriage. Whatever happens to your marriage, even if you're not annulled, your visa will be affected, and you are advised to voluntarily cancel your visa. That is the downside. But the good side is for the 13A, there is no deposit requirements. For the SRV, it is independent, but it requires you to put in a certain deposit in the bank. The good thing is that it does not like really just stays in the bank. You can use it as a real estate investment for personal dwelling, which we can talk about later on this video. Now, the SRRV stands for Special Resident Retirees Visa. Although it says there retirees, you don't have to be officially retired to get the SRV. As long as you meet the minimum age requirement, then you can get the SRV. Now, where do you process the SRV? You will process it at the Philippine Retirement Authority, not at the Bureau of Immigration. Although the Bureau of Immigration will issue the visa, the Philippine Retirement Authority will accept and endorse your application to the Bureau of Immigration. They will serve as your petitioner for your visa application. And because of that, one of the best benefits of having the SRV is the exemption to most of the immigration requirements. Number one, you are not required to file for an annual report. You don't need to go to the Bureau of Immigration once a year. Number two, you are not required to get the ACR I-card. Number three, you don't need to get an exit clearance every time you exit the country. Number four, you don't need to have an onward ticket or a return ticket every time you enter the Philippines. Four things. Now that's what makes it so convenient to most of the SRV holders. So basically, once you have the SRV, you just need to do one thing, and that is the renewal of your SRRV. And you can even do it outside the Philippines. For example, for whatever reason, you exit the country and you did not expect to stay there for so long, you can simply contact the PRA, wire them the money, and then they issue the ID and they can ship it back to your place. So by then, when you enter the Philippines, you will have a valid SRV ID. Now let's talk about the categories under the SRV. The categories will determine the requirements and the cost that you will be required to settle when you get the SRV. Under the current rules, there is the SRV Classic without the pension requirement. So as long as if you're 50, you don't even have to have a pension. The deposit for that category is 20,000 US dollars. If you are under the SRV Classic with pension, the requirement for the pension is at least $800 a month. The deposit for that category is 10,000 USD. When we talk about pension, it's not only the Social Security. It could also be from your private pension provider or a disability check, as long as the benefit is lifetime and it meets the minimum requirement amount to qualify for this specific category, which is for the SRV Classic, the minimum pension requirement is $800 a month. So from 20,000, that would be 10,000 US dollars, considering if you can provide the minimum pension requirement. Next would be the SRRV Courtesy category. Now, this is for those former Filipinos who were naturalized in a foreign country, meaning Filipinos who migrated to a different country and then they get naturalized there. And then let's say they are now an American citizen, and when they come back to the Philippines, they can apply for the SRV courtesy category, especially if they don't want to get dual citizenship for whatever reason. So instead of coming here under balikbayan for 1 year, and after that the renewal of visas, they may instead get the SRV courtesy, which grants them permanent stay in the Philippines along with their dependents. For the SRV courtesy, it's not only for former Filipinos, it's also for those foreign nationals who have served as officers of international organizations that are duly recognized by the Department of Foreign Affairs. Now, for this category, the SRRV courtesy category, the deposit is only 1,500. That is significantly less compared to those classic category with and without pension. Now, the last category would be the SRRV expanded courtesy. This is for those foreign nationals who have served military service in the past and who are receiving a lifetime benefit of at least 1,000 USD per month. So if you're qualified in this category, the deposit for you is only 1,500 USD. This is the same with the SRRV courtesy, which is also 1,500. Now for the SRRV courtesy category and the SRRV expanded courtesy, the renewal for them would only be $10 per person every year. That's it. For the SRRV classic category, it's $360, but it covers 3 people, so the principal and 2 dependents. Now let's talk about the changes of the SRV program starting the 1st of September. I'm not going to use technical words. I'm not going to use industry jargon. I'm going to explain it very, very simple. Now there are 3 major changes. Number 1 would be the requirements. Number 2 would be the fees. And number 3 would be the deposits required for each category. Now let's talk about number 1, the requirements. Under this change, there are 3 changes in the requirements. Number 1, the categories. Before they have 4 different categories, now they simplify the categories into 2. It's only SRRV Classic and SRRV Courtesy. For the SRRV Courtesy, there is still SRRV Courtesy for foreigners, and there is also SRRV Courtesy for former Filipinos. That's it. So SRRV Classic and SRRV Courtesy. Number 2 would be the minimum age requirement. Currently, it is 50 years old. After September 1 or on September 1, the minimum age requirement is now 40 years old. Now, there will be 2 age groups in the SRRV category. So that would be for those 40 years old to 49 and 50 years old and above. Number 3 would be the added requirement in the documentation. So that would be the BI clearance. It is the Bureau of Immigration clearance. It is simply a background check done by the Bureau of Immigration. Now, where do you get that? You can actually get that when you extend your tourist visa. So every time you extend your tourist visa, the government or the Bureau of Immigration will do a background check, and you will be given a piece of paper that says certification. I'm going to put it on this video so you would know what I'm talking about. So if you have done your visa extension before, I'm pretty sure that you already have this document. But when you apply for the SRRV, make sure that you have the recent BI clearance certificate. It's not the extension that you made a year ago, right? So before you submit your SRRV application, I'm pretty sure that you will do your visa extension. And when you do your visa extension, you will have this BI clearance certificate. Okay, let's talk about the 3rd major change of the SRRV, the deposit. Let's start off with the classic category for 50 years old and above. For those who don't have pension, the current required deposit is 20,000 USD. By September 1, it is going to increase to 30,000 USD. If you have a qualified pension, which is at $800 a month, the current visa deposit requirement is 10,000 USD. By September 1, it is going to increase to 15,000 USD. And for 40 years old and 49 years old, if you're planning to get the SRRV, you can now apply. So if you're under the classic category, if you don't have a pension, the deposit requirement will be 50,000 USD. But if you have a qualified pension, which is $800 a month, the deposit requirement for you would be 25,000 USD. I agree that the deposits are very high, and the default option for most people is just to let it stay in the bank and use it as an emergency saving, because once you cancel the SRV, regardless of when, you can get the deposits back. But the PRA is not closing their doors. You can actually use the deposit for real estate investment, just for personal dwelling. The first option would be purchasing a condominium. The second option would be a long-term lease of a house and lot. So in that way, the money doesn't have to stay in the bank. You can actually use it while you have your SRV. Now let's move on to the second category, which is the SRRV courtesy, but for foreigners. For 50 years old and above, which is for the former militaries, the deposit is still the same. It is still $1,500. But if you qualify for the SRV courtesy, but you're 40 years old to 49 years old, the deposit for you would be 6,000 USD. That is if you don't have a lifetime benefit or a pension. But if you have some sort of disability check or a pension, even if you are 40 to 49 years old, the deposit requirement for you would be 3,000 USD. That is still significantly less compared to the classic categories. For the SRRV courtesy for former Filipinos, it is still $1,500 deposit for those 50 years old and above. But if you are a former Filipino in the age bracket from 40 to 49, the visa deposit requirement for you is only 3,000 USD. And there's no pension requirement to qualify for the SRRV former Filipinos. So those are the big changes of the SRRV starting September 1. Requirements, the fees, and the deposit. And the way of applying for the SRRV now is pretty simple. And if you are still outside the country, it is much more advantageous for you to start, because there are foreign documents needed from your home country that, for example, the apostille. If you will get like a police background check, you will get like a DD-214 or a pension document, you need to have those things authenticated. If you're from the US, you need to have it apostilled from your Secretary of State office. But if you're from a country outside the USA, then you can simply visit the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. If your country is not a member of the Hague Convention, like China, you can authenticate your foreign issued documents at the Philippine Embassy or the Philippine Consulate in your country. Again, the general rule of thumb, if there are foreign documents issued from your home country, you need to have it authenticated, either apostilled or an authentication at the Philippine Embassy. But what if you're already here in the Philippines and you only have soft copies or photocopies of your USA documents? You can simply go to your embassy or consulate and have it notarized. As per the PRA, it is actually accepted instead of the apostille. And it is especially beneficial for those people who have already or who already are here in the Philippines and just started the process. So, if you're interested in getting the SRRV and if you're already in the Philippines, you can actually notarize your USA issued documents or foreign issued documents to your embassy or consulate. So you don't have to go back from your home country to get that authentication. And one of the things that I always advise if you're still outside the country is you need to wire the deposit ahead of time, because wiring your deposit may cause like flags from the bank. It might hold up. So if you're working with somebody here in the Philippines, like a marketer or something, you can actually use their services and wire the money directly to the PRA's bank account, and they can monitor it on your behalf. So that if there's any problem in the transaction, they can let you know, and you, in your home country, can actually fix it in your bank in person. Anyway, I've made a lot of videos on how to apply for the SRRV, so you should check it out. It's still the same process. The only requirement or the only thing that has been added to the process is the interview by the time you submit your application. The rest, it's all the same. So basically, you complete all the requirements, you go to the PRA, they conduct an interview, and once they find it satisfactory, then you are able to submit your physical paperwork. Just please know that the PRA will hold onto your passport in the entire duration of the processing, meaning you won't have a passport for the entire 1 to 2 months. And this is also one good of advice. You need to extend your tourist visa before you submit your application because 30 days might not be enough time. And if there are problems inside, it's very difficult to pull out your passport and do an extension. The PRA will not do the extension for you if that happens. You need to pull it out and do the visa extension yourself or through your accredited marketer. So if you're going to ask me what is the best way to get the SRV, that would be pre-arranging all the documentation before you travel to the Philippines. So that would be the police background check, the pension document, the medical clearance. If you want to do it in your home country, you can also do it here. But if you want to do it there, then do it there. Because there's also the apostille process that you need to do, or the authentication of the foreign issued documents. And most importantly, settling the visa deposit requirement. If you are working with a marketer here, you can ask the marketer to help you wire the money. And when you wire the money, you do not send it to the marketer, you send it to the account of the Philippine Retirement Authority. All you will give to the marketer is only the transaction receipt because that is the document that they will use to monitor your application here in the Philippines. And if something goes wrong, they can contact you so you can fix it to your bank in person. Well, what do you think about the changes? If you're planning to get the SRRV, what are the things that you should prepare? What are the things that you should know about? So please leave in the comments and I'll answer them. If you want a personal consultation, please email me at kervin, KERVIN, at gorelocationph.com. That is my business email now. So you can start emailing me there and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Also, I want to thank the people who have been sending donations to the channel. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your support. I will continue on putting out Philippine immigration videos for you guys so that you will be aware of what's going on here in the Philippines. So if you're planning to get the SRRV or a different type of visa, just let me know. I still offer the relocation plan where we discuss your immigration needs and real estate needs so that it would be a bespoke solution based on your circumstances. So just let me know. Send me an email at kervin at gorelocationph.com. KERVIN at gorelocationph.com. Anyway, this has been Kevin, your visa guy here in the Philippines. Until then, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on my next video. Peace.